Um, yeah, my name is Tom Larkin, and I'm a focusing teacher here in Ireland. And I have been focusing for, I think probably I started focusing about 30 years ago and took it up training to be a teacher around 20 years ago. I've been doing this for quite a while, and I can just say that I love doing it. Um, I know I said this last year. I usually say it when I'm introducing myself to people that I have a life before focusing and after focusing. That's the kind of difference that it made in my life to my relationship with myself, my relationship with other people. And the other thing is then the kind of ethos of focusing is not pushing people. So uh, if I ask you to do something or if I ask you questions or anything else like that, you don't have to answer. You don't have to do um, whatever I'm suggesting. Obviously, it's helpful for you if you do, but just in the spirit of focusing, you do this your way. Okay. So just to say a little bit about our three sessions this year. Um, the way that I work usually is to go through some experiences, talk about them, and then look, if you like, more at the kind of a theoretical framework or whatever. And I'll just give a talk about that. But really, an explanation of what's going on and why it happens, and so on and so forth. And I'll leave space for you to ask questions if you want. Focusing. Um, it sounds like a way of concentrating. And indeed, the word as we use it in our everyday language is all about zoning in on something, concentrating, if you like, on something. And that's true to a small extent in that you pay attention to something. But after that, the meaning of focusing as it's used in this kind of context, and indeed a lot of people prefer to call it experiential focusing, um, for that very reason, that it is very different from that sense of concentration. Uh, Focusing is it's a natural process. This is something that people have been doing for since there were people. I would say that a lot of people don't know that they're doing it. It's um, it's a bit like intuition, gut feelings, that kind of thing. It's like that. It's not that, but it's very like that. And so it's hard to put a finger on it or to name it or even talk about it sometimes. So maybe just if I give you some examples is probably the best thing to do. Um, I have a few questions here. They're for reflection, not necessarily for you to answer or whatever, but just to offer you these as a kind of a way of um, coming into what focusing is all about or experiential focusing is all about. So, have you ever left your home or maybe a room um, where you live and when you left it, you had this kind of nagging feeling or sensation that there was something you've left there or something you didn't do or whatever. Have you ever gone into a room or a place that's full of people and had a feeling that something was off or not okay? Or maybe you had the opposite, that you went into a whole room full of people and you felt completely at ease. Have you ever struggled to put your finger on the name of something or someone that you do know? You've met them before at some stage or another. And there's that, you're almost there, but not quite. You notice that there's something there. Um, have you ever been really heard when you talk with something about something that's important to you? And something in you knew that the other person got it exactly. Have you ever done something which could be maybe cookery, carpentry, or cleaning, or whatever it is, just done something, and you knew there was something, no, that's not quite right. There's something off about it, or whatever. So each of those situations involved a kind of a body sense. There was something in you, you would have experienced it bodily in some way, but it wasn't a feeling and it wasn't an actual body sensation. There was a sense, a different kind of sense from those. That's what we attend to in focusing. Kind of like there's an edge to your experience in some way. Um, One of the ways that I try to get this across is having a bodily sense of it, is to, um, if you were to bring your hands together like that, one thumb over the other, and just notice which thumb is on top, okay? And then separate your hands, bring them back together again, and this time put the thumb that was on top on the bottom and the other thumb on top of that. And just notice what that feels like in your body. When I ask people about this, they usually describe it as they're ill at ease, uncomfortable, something not quite right about it. But it's not a head thing, and it's not actually a sensation. It's like there's something. That's, again, that's what we attend to in focusing. Um, the guy who developed focusing way back in the 50s and 60s uh, coined a term for it, felt sense. That term is now used everywhere, meaning the sensation in the body. The way he meant it is not that at all. He meant it as something that's kind of very hard to put into words or put your finger on or whatever. And just it's a word to describe those kind of um, that sense of something that you experience in the examples that I gave there. Um, yeah, so focusing then is about noticing those kind of feelings and sensations, if you like. Um, it's something that people have done from time immemorial, and um, there's nothing, in a sense, new or um, unusual about them or whatever. Again, back in the 50s and 60s, this guy, Eugene Gendlin, who developed this thing called focusing, he noticed when he was listening to people in therapy situations and in listening to the tapes of hundreds and thousands of therapy uh, scenarios, sessions, that people seemed to tune in to that kind of experience in their bodies, or at least the ones who had successful therapy outcomes did that. So basically, what he did was um, he devised a method to help other people who didn't have that natural kind of way of doing things to do that. And he developed these 6 steps and he called it focusing, which is a bit of an unfortunate term, but it's what we have and that's what we work with. Um, okay. So all of that is a way of saying that it's like our body knows things that we don't know, or our minds don't know, or our brains, or whatever, that cognitive, rational part of us doesn't know. You know what they say about the issues being in the tissues, that kind of statement, that our body carries a knowing. So focusing is a way of tuning into that way of knowing things. And as I say, Jantlin developed this process to do that. Um, if you look at a painting, or indeed Sarah and I were talking about photographs there just before we began, or a photograph, or if you listen to a piece of music, when it comes to us, when we look at it, we sense the whole picture. We don't take apart all the individual bits, you know, or the kind of paint that's involved, or all of the kind of canvas that it's on, or the background, or whatever. It comes to us as a whole thing, and we have that experience a lot. I'm going to come to that question in the chat now in a moment. Um, when we think about a person, unless we've had a row with them or there's something specific about them, we tend to bring them whole to us. And just to take that question there, is there a difference between focusing and being present? Um, in order to do focusing, you have to be present. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a few minutes when I want to do some slides, and I will talk specifically about that, what that means in a focusing sense, being present. Um, okay, and again, let's do another exercise. So if you would maybe just settle where you are, bring your awareness into your body. If it's okay for you to close your eyes or to soften your gaze somewhere, even on the screen, but a softening of it rather than a kind of a um, looking for something. So it's like you're allowing your gaze to go inwards, your attention to go inwards. And maybe just bring your awareness to your feet and just notice where they are, what they're in touch with. Maybe you can get a sense of the support coming up into your feet from whatever you're standing or wherever you're sitting or lying. Maybe noticing your legs and what they're in contact with. Bringing your awareness to your body where you're sitting. You might notice how you're supported there. You might notice your arms and your hands and what they're in contact with. And just bringing your awareness now to your breathing. Noticing your breath, the air coming into your body and leaving your body. And then expanding that awareness to include the whole middle of your body, from your throat to your abdomen. And I'm going to invite you to keep a gentle attention there in that middle part of your body, because that's the place we tend to feel things most. You might just ask yourself the question, how am I at the moment? And just notice how you are. Acknowledge that this is how you are at this particular moment in time. So you're just acknowledging it and noticing it for the moment. And then I'm going to ask you to think of people you know. Just like a kind of an identity lineup, if you like. It could be someone in your family, a friend, a neighbor, some other relations, whatever. Just people. And for the purpose of this exercise, choose one of them. And let the others go. Just like you're saying goodbye to them. And you're left with this one person. Now, what is it like for you to be in this person's company? And I'm going to invite you to allow your body to respond to that question. What is it like to be in this person's company? And I know you may have thoughts about it or memories of times when you were in that person's company. But this is about now, here and now. As you think about this person, what happens in your body? What feelings do you have now? You might notice if there's a color associated with that person when you're in their company. You might have a sense of the energy that's in your body when you're with that person. So just getting an overall sense of what that's like. So again, just acknowledging whatever is there. It's neither good nor bad, right or wrong. It just is the way it is. Just acknowledging and accepting that for the moment. And then when you're ready, allowing that person to go, saying goodbye to them. Now I'm just going to invite you to open your eyes and have a look around the room where you are. Notice the colors around you, the light, any piece of furniture where you are. And I'm inviting you to do this because it's a way of breaking state, because I'm going to invite you to go back into that space, that inner space again. Okay. So again, if it's okay to close your eyes or soften your gaze, just becoming aware of where your body is, your feet, your seat, your breath. And again, think of a number of people. They may be the same people as you thought of before. They may be a completely different group. Family, friends, neighbors, relations, whatever. And again, for the purpose of this exercise, pick a different person. You might like to pick, if you picked a man before, you might like to pick a woman this time, or vice versa. Or if it's someone in your family you picked before, you might like to pick a friend or neighbor or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just pick somebody completely different. And again, say goodbye to all of the other people. Just let them go. And again, asking yourself the question, what is it like for me being in this person's company? And again, inviting your body to respond. And I know that probably there will be thoughts, opinions, feelings, memories, and so on. Just see if you can get a sense of what's happening in your body when you think about being in that person's company. What happens in you? How do you feel? This is about now. How are you now in your body? Is there a color associated with that person? Have you a sense of the energy in your body when you're in that person's company? And just getting a sense of all about that. And now, just coming towards the end of this exercise, just saying goodbye to that person. Again, bringing your awareness back into the room, looking around you, and rejoining the virtual room. Anyone, any questions about that or comments or anything else? Particularly, did you notice any difference between your body's sense of the two people? And if so, what were the differences? What most people find is, yeah, from Sophia, one was relaxed and one was tense. I was just about to say that most people find very big differences between their experience of two people just by bringing them into their minds, you know. So it's like we carry, our bodies carry um, a sense of people. So it's like we have a bodily experience of people, and that we can, if we make the space for it, tune into that. So it's not just about people that we can tune into our experience of, it's everything. We can have an experience of a word, even. And probably one of the things that I should have said, even before we did that exercise, uh, focusing, experiential focusing, is very, very like, it looks like people are meditating when they're focusing. And there are some similarities between meditation and focusing, particularly mindfulness meditation. In fact, you can't do focusing without being mindful. But one of the major differences between focusing and mindfulness meditation is in mindfulness, you notice something arising, and it could be a feeling or a thought or whatever. You're thinking about something in the past or something in the future. And in mindfulness, you notice it and you let it go. In focusing, you notice it and you invite it in for like a conversation. So I just want to make that point, which is very, very like we were taught that question about being present. Yes, we are present to what's happening in our bodies. It's like that's the very first thing you're doing. You're inviting that. So there are a couple of things that are really, really essential, if you like, in order to do focusing. The first one is you need to pause. You need to actually stop what you're doing. So it's like you need to make a space. How do you do that? Well, if you can physically do it, if you're standing, you could sit down. If you're sitting down, you could stand and take a step back. So it's like you're physically making a space or uh, creating a pause. Um, I'm going to come back to presence in a minute. So this focusing teacher from Ecuador who said the natural pause is an effortless phenomenon in which the person becomes still and silent naturally. And if you can do that, that's fine. Some people need to actually do something physical in order to be able to become still and silent. And that's fine. What we did earlier, noticing where our feet were, noticing where we were sitting or whatever, and noticing our breath, that's a way of pausing, just grounding yourself, coming into the present moment and noticing your body. And that's the same, if you like, beginning place as mindfulness meditation. Anyway, he continues. Like breathing, it unfolds without any special force or intellectual effort. Oh, I don't necessarily agree with. I think you have to make an effort. Sometimes it just comes natural. If you're sitting in front on a beautiful day in the mountains or by the sea or whatever, it can be just um, natural, if you like. Its presence implies a brief stop where thinking is suspended and nothing is there. This kind of nothing differs from the kind that is experienced as a sense of emptiness or feeling lost. It is an inner space that is not filled with words, knowledge, or familiar reactions, at least not yet. So you make that space. That's the beginning of focusing. The other element that's absolutely essential, and um, you've got this man here with a little boy who's obviously saying something, looks a bit worried even, but the man is intently there for the child. That's the kind of presence that we're talking about. And the qualities of presence that we're talking about in focusing. And it's not just, this is an attitude, if you like, or a stance that you decide on, you intend, if you like, at the beginning of a focusing session. These kind of qualities, patience, openness, curiosity, interest, friendliness, allowing, receiving, compassion, listening, and so on. And the image of the glass house there, it's like it conveys that idea that when you create the right conditions, then focusing can happen and change can happen from that. So if you're having memories of something you did once upon a time, or something that happened to you once upon a time, or something that's happening now, and you go inside, you notice that that's what's there. When you ask the question, how am I, or what wants my attention now, or whatever, um, if you don't have that kind of presence towards whatever may come from that question, then it's unlikely that anything new will come, and and there'll be no change. You have to create a space um, to allow something to feel safe to come. Okay. So Anne Weiser Cornell is one of the people who continued Eugene Gendlin's work, and she's probably the foremost teacher of focusing at the moment in the world. She describes this presence as a state of self that is witnessing and compassionate towards one's inner aspects and processes. And with that goes the experience of being larger than one's problems and emotions. And in that way that we can explore with curiosity the emotions and thoughts that are there. That's the kind of presence that we're talking about. So when we say in focusing that we are being present to what we find in ourselves, this is really what we mean by that. It's a kind of a adopting or intending an attitude or a stance towards what we find that is benign, if you like. So then what is focusing? It's something that happens inside. It's a skill. This is something you need to practice. It doesn't, for some people, I've met people for whom focusing is a very natural process. They take to it like a duck to water. Most of the rest of us have gotten so used to thinking things out that it's difficult. So it needs to be practiced. Um, it's a natural way that people have of attending to their body's sense of a situation or event, similar to what is called intuition or gut feeling. And it's a learnable self-help technique that enables a person to identify and be more at ease with these and other feelings and body sensations, including pain. Okay. And it's a complementary method. Um, yes, you can do focusing on its own. You can, that's perfectly okay, but it tends to enhance anything that you work, that you bring it into. And that could be anything. Well, it's especially, obviously, it was devised in a psychotherapy kind of way. And it's great for things like coaching, spiritual direction, anything like that, where it's a interpersonal kind of situation. But it's also great for creativity. And in business, people use it. In education, people use it because it enhances everything that it comes in contact with. So it's a mindful technique that a person can employ quickly in any given situation. It's an adaptable process that a person can integrate with any other method or approach. And it's a method to enhance a person's way of relating to and working with other people. That's probably its greatest strength, that focusing does actually make a difference to how you are with yourself and how you are with other people. And it's a way of being in the world that allows people to access more of what they know about themselves and their lives. And I'm just going to leave that up there for a moment because I need to finish this part of the session today quickly. Okay. So if you become comfortable where you're sitting again, you might just begin to bring your awareness into your body. Again, noticing your feet on the floor or the bed or wherever you have your feet at the moment. Noticing the support that flows upwards from that. Noticing your body in the chair and the support, or the bed, and the support that gives you. And then just bringing your awareness to your breathing and the air coming into your body and leaving your body. And then expanding that awareness to include the whole middle of your body, where we tend to feel things most. And then just, if you like, keeping a light attention in the middle of your body. And you might just ask yourself the question, what wants my awareness now? Or what wants my attention now? And just, it's like, make that kind of friendly space. Don't come up with anything quick or anything else like that. Just allow things to emerge naturally. And I'm sure there will be thoughts and um, maybe memories or worries or whatever come really quickly. So just acknowledge anything that comes and keep that space for your question. What wants my awareness now? And there may be a number of things. And when you do become aware of something, when something does arise, it's just acknowledging it. So it's like you're saying hello to it. And you're doing that without any kind of judgment or um, criticism or anything else like that. You're just allowing it to be there, even if it does seem unpleasant. And if it is, maybe you want to increase the distance between you and it. And you can do that in your imagination. So what you're doing is just allowing whatever has arisen just to be there exactly as it is. Allowing it, if you like, to just to be and breathe. And maybe you can notice what it's like to do that. And now see if you can find some way of describing it. We usually use words, but there might be a color or a gesture or a sound even or something that describes whatever's there. You might notice if you're having any difficulty with this, um, you might find yourself going to how you always feel. Um, Maybe some of those feelings are really feel overwhelming or whatever. Just see if you can let go of any of the kind of labels you have or past experience and try and see it freshly, something new, but something that's not in you but is outside of you in some way. And so just being open to whatever is there in whatever way that it appears to you. And all this time, just noticing what it's like to do that. And maybe if you found a word or a symbol or whatever to describe it, noticing what happens when you bring the whatever it was and the word together. Does it fit? Or might there be a better word? So just noticing what happens when you do that. Maybe if you can just take a moment to notice if anything feels even a little bit different in you as a result of doing that. And just giving it to yourself, receiving it, taking a moment maybe to savor it, even whatever little change there might be. You might notice if something feels unfinished or incomplete, and maybe letting it know that you'll come back to it at some later time. And maybe you can see if you'd like to, if it feels okay to thank your body for this. Um, if you like letting you know more about yourself. And then when you're ready, slowly, gradually bringing your awareness back into your body, into wherever you are. and here into our virtual room, and allowing your eyes to open.